What we're going to be covering tonight is why is sleep so important, how to optimize your sleep, and the best tools for getting better sleep. So some really practical things that you can take away and just start to use. And what you're going to leave with tonight is a step-by-step guide to better sleep, the best practical tips to improve your sleep, and how to supercharge your sleep hygiene. So a lot there. We've got a lot to get through. So hopefully I'm going to, same as usual, I'm going to go over the main points. If you're watching this live or you're watching this on the recording, if at any point you've got any questions like previous to like after this, please don't hesitate to ask, because all the research and the studies that I've been going through to get all this, I've got so much data, so much science and facts that you can look at any point if you want it. Because there's tons and tons and tons. So I've tried to condense all of that into half an hour. So hopefully that will be okay, and you'll learn loads from it, and you'll have practical tips about how to improve your sleep. And after this, you'll realize just how important sleep really is. So the way what the definition of sleep is, the way you feel while you're awake depends on what happens while you're sleeping. During sleep, your body is working to support healthy brain function and maintain your physical health. So pretty obvious how important it is from that statement alone. We've got a few of these now, so I've got my favorite one as well. But what we're going to do is take a closer look at sleep and as it is the best way to support your health. There's different research going on all the time. You've kind of got the three fundamentals: nutrition, training, and sleep. However, depending on who you speak to, sleep is the foundation it's all built on. I would argue sleep and nutrition, because if you don't do either, you can't do anything else. But it really is, like, sleep is so important. And in researching this masterclass tonight, I've come across even more facts and figures about how important sleep is, and how important, like, just an hour a night off your regular sleeping regime can really hinder performance and results. So yeah, let's dive in. My favorite definition is, when I think of sleep, it's the bridge from today to tomorrow, and how we cross that bridge determines how good each day will be. So you need to finish it strong, you need to finish it right, you need to get some sleep, and you need to do it right. You need sleep. You need to own your sleep to own your day. You own your sleep, you own your day, you own your life. So I just like that. I just think it kind of sums up everything we're about, and everything tonight's about as well. So when have you heard this before, or when have you seen this? You've overheard someone saying it. You've probably very well said it yourself. I used to say this: why is sleep so important? I'll just sleep when I'm dead, or I don't have time to sleep. I've got to sort out the work, the family, kids, the business, like everything. Like, we don't have time to sleep. And someone said to me just today, I was working with a client earlier, and they said, and I was like talking about how important sleep is, and they came back at me and said, but if I sleep for 6 hours a day, I have 18 hours waking. Whereas if I sleep for 8, I only have 16. And the first time I challenged, I said, no, absolutely not. And the productivity that you actually gain, and how much more you can engage with that life, how much more energy you have, how much more you can put out into your workouts, your relationships, everything you do, by having that extra sleep counteracts it. And I think hopefully at the end of the night, you'll realize why 7 to 8 hours of sleep gives you so much more actual living and life to be done in the time when you're awake. Yeah, there's a couple of things I've heard that were quite scary as I've listened to this, about how every time we are awake, our brain is having low level brain damage, and it's only sleep that repairs that. That was something that was kind of crazy, but I researched that a little bit myself, and it's scientific fact. Everything I'm sharing with you tonight is backed up by studies, and it's scientific fact. So if you want any more, like I say, you can get it. But let's get into it. So why is sleep so important? Firstly, we're going to look at everything that basically not getting enough sleep hinders. Most people, when they first come to LPT, they are, on average, they're looking to lose some weight, or they're looking to get healthier, get fitter. And as in all of us, I very rarely speak to anyone who says, I'm 100% happy with my the amount of fat on my body. I am absolutely happy with how I look. Although there are a lot of people out there like that, but we always got something we want to improve. And it turns out sleep is the number one factor for actually doing that. Because the less sleep you have, there is a direct correlation. The less sleep you have, the more likely you are to store fat. And it's been proven that someone who loses weight, who is chronically underslept, does not actually drop fat. They drop their lean body tissue, because that's what it attacks. Because when your brain is very clever, when it is actually underslept, it realizes how important that fat is to keep itself fueled and warm. So if you're underslept, your body will not attack the fat stores. It will actually actively try and keep it, which is crazy. Also, kind of mixed in with that is when we're underslept, we overeat. And that is because of these two hormones that we've spoke about quite a lot on these masterclasses, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin actually decreases and ghrelin increases. Leptin is the hormone that is signaled by the brain to say that we are full, we are satiated. And when we are underslept, that actually decreases. And ghrelin's the one that signals when we're full, when we don't need it, and that increases. So with that balance, we basically want them to go the other way. We want ghrelin to increase, so we feel full for longer. We want leptin, like I say, it's crazy how much these hormones play in how we want to eat. And we need to be aware of the fact that these hormones get very much out of balance when we're underslept. And also, to add into this, when you're chronically underslept, do you think you're really going to go for the good, healthy food? No, we go for the easy, fast energy insulin spike that like dumps all that sugar into our hormones, into our insulin receptors, because we're so chronically undertired. We want that fast energy food, not the food that's good for you, which releases its energy slow and steady. We go for that big bang for your buck, carbs and sugar. So decrease in performance, decrease in balance. So much work has been done now in sleep and athletes. So obviously, myself included, on this, we're not talking about athletes, but we want to have better performance. I certainly do, and I know everyone, as you're listening there now, you want to improve your performance. That's why you're joining. That's why you're watching tonight. And there's a dramatic decrease in performance. One of the studies done was looking at athletes who just decreased 1 hour of sleep per night and did the same workout for 5 days in a row. As sleep decreased by an hour a night, their performance output dropped by over 20% every single day, which is just incredible. How much of a role it actually plays in your performance, in what you're able to do, in what you're able to put out there. So why do we continue to not sleep properly? We know that it's categorically decreasing our performance, which in turn with that, the reason why these athletes' performance was decreased so much was they didn't have any cognitive skill, which then brought down their balance. Obviously, athletes need balance. We all need balance. If you think back to the video last week that Jack said about stability, if we haven't got any stability, if we're not stable, of course we're not going to be able to perform. And it's been shown that when we are lacking sleep, our balance goes down. The next one, poor productivity. So that comes back to that thing where I challenge anyone who says about, well, I haven't got time to sleep. I need to do this. I need to do this work. I need to do that. It doesn't matter. If you're not sleeping, if you're not actually going into the right receptors of the brain to get the sleep, your productivity shuts down so much more. So you're not actually going to get any kind of work done anyway. It's been proven now that in the last 2 hours of a 9 to 5 working day, the last 2 hours of work, the work rate drops in the average participant by 83% in the last 2 hours. And that's someone who may well have been eating really well, but our brains naturally, as we start to tire throughout the day, we get this slump. As our energies go through brain, through whatever, that brain fuel, productivity drops as we get more tired. It really is crazy. One thing I just want to add at this point as well is about the different levels of sleep. So there's a very different thing to just sleeping as opposed to getting good quality sleep. We go through from our waking to our resting cycle. We have the low level sleep where we go in, which we think of as light sleep. Then we get deep sleep, where it's basically like it's the body's going in and cleaning everything out, all the information from the day, everything going in. Then we have rapid eye movement sleep, or REM sleep, which is like a detoxification of the brain. Everything's getting like hardwired. It's like the analogy of the bugs coming in and cleaning out the computer. That's what's happening when we're sleeping. So in the last section, the sleep fixes, we're going to give you ways to actually improve your quality of sleep to get you into that deep sleep and REM sleep, so you're really actually getting something from it. Cool. So yeah, I'm afraid it gets a little bit not so pleasant now. It's been proven now for every single person who the lower your sleep has a direct correlation with a decrease in life expectancy. The study was done recently about for every hour that someone missed off a night, it was shown to proven that they increase their risk of disease and increase their risk of a shortened life expectancy by 50%. When I was listening, the podcast which I listened to, well, I always listen to them, but like one that I listened to specifically on this, some of the things on there from this neuroscientist Matthew Walker, some of what he was sharing was like shocking, like how much sleep actually affects everything we do. But the good news is that we're here and we're going to give you some fixes. So yeah, decreases life expectancy. It impairs our cognition, so how we think. So how we think, how we communicate with others, how we communicate with our partners, how we communicate at work. Brain fog. If we can't think properly because we're chronically tired, it's going to have a massive effect on everything we do. So it's pretty obvious that we need to be looking at sleep there. Increased accident risk. So it was the one where we're thinking about daylight savings. So when we lose an hour to when we gain an hour, it matched up perfectly to the fact that when we lost an hour, accidents rose by, I think it was 32%. It was the exact same thing they dropped by when we gained the hour. So the increased accident risk, which is again something when we're driving and tired, we're actually, it's been looked at now when we are sleep deprived for longer than 24 hours, we start to actually hallucinate and we can see things. I've definitely experienced this before when I've been really tired. I've heard things, I've seen things. It's a little bit scary really when you think about it, but these are all scientific facts. So weakened immune system, again, that's pretty obvious because there's such an increase in inflammation going through our body because we're not sleeping properly. So our immune systems get weakened. So obviously that plays a massive role in the decrease in life expectancy. And then the last one, which is awfully not good, none of us want to experience this, it has been proven to lower sex drive by nearly 40%. So that kind of changes the game when we think of what we go to sleep for. And this is actually something that I haven't put in the fixes, but something that a lot of sleep experts are now saying is create the perfect environment for going to bed. So when you're actually talking about sex, do that somewhere else or not when you're going to bed. The bed should be for sleep at that time when you go to sleep. But when you think of it in those terms about lowering sex drive, again, it makes complete sense because those hormones are reduced. Men aren't experiencing as much testosterone, so we're not getting that sex drive. So again, it's often said that sex is the best thing you can do for free. And if it's lowering your sex drive by nearly 40%, then we need to be going to bed maybe 15 minutes earlier and really looking at how we can improve our sleep. So the next slide is the sleep benefits. I couldn't even put this on bullet points because there's so many. Sleep benefits. There's a decrease. It's been shown to decrease the risk of depression. It's shown to improve our memory, spurs creativity. There was a study done at school where they let school children go have an extra hour's sleep, start school a week later. Their grades on that study improved on average by about 40%. And that's because of all this other stuff. So it's by getting more sleep, it's the easiest way to maintain a healthy weight. Productivity has been shown to go up, increased physical performance. There was a study done on other athletes called, which they titled "You Are a Winner." When they studied athletes who slept more, it found out they were from the most winningest teams. So it's pretty obvious when we tie it back into what we were just thinking about, why we need to get more sleep. And these go really well together. You can see the previous two slides, all the things that are bad. These are basically everything saying how much better it is when we get this extra sleep. Avoid accidents, lowers stress, it sharpens our attention, it reduces inflammation in the body, which if you were watching last week, inflammation is the cause of all pain. Inflammation is the thing that's running through our bodies, which hinders almost everything else we do. And getting more sleep helps us live longer. So just before we go into the good bit, all the fixes, I think you can probably agree, and you're probably not along now thinking, right, I need to go to sleep. I need to get more sleep. Just so you know, all these studies were done on average. The recommended daily dose is between 7 and 9. When you start dropping underneath 6.5 to 6, that's where all of these things, decreased life expectancy, impaired cognition, that's where they start to kick in at quite a distinct level. So we're looking at 7 to 9. However, there's also been a lot of research done that napping is a really productive thing to do. However, as I'm sat here talking to you now, I know that nearly everyone who's on this call or you're watching it back, the thought of getting 7 hours in one night is going to be a challenge. So the thought of then taking a siesta at 12 o'clock in the afternoon to get a little bit of nap time is going to be completely out of the realms of possibility. But if you ever do get that benefit, it's been shown like a 30-minute power nap can be really good, because we actually, within 30 minutes, you can get into that deeper sleep cycle. So hopefully that makes sense. But right, the fixes, all the good stuff. So what we're actually here to do, what we actually want to learn about, this is the last bit. This is what we're going through now. So some of these are simple, and you can start actually, they're all really simple, and I would advise everyone to start them like now. So number one, avoid caffeine after 1 p.m. I'm sat here talking to you as a coffee lover, an absolute coffee lover. I love it. I use it as my pre-workout before I ever go to the gym, but I also love the taste. So I tend to have 1 day a week with no caffeine, just to set my sort of receptors to it again. And then I think I hit this every day. I couldn't tell you the last time I actually had caffeine after 1. I tend to train in the gym anywhere between sort of 7 a.m. Sort of the latest will be 11 a.m. And I tend to have the coffee before that. So it's very rare that I'll ever have caffeine after. But if you do, it would make a great deal of sense that you stopped your caffeine no later than sort of 12 to 1. These next 3 are all together. Take a hot bath, wear socks to bed, keep it cool. Probably sounds counterproductive, but the take a hot bath thing, and I'd implore anyone to go and look at this. When we actually have a hot bath, as we get out, it dramatically plummets our core body temperature. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking to take the core body temperature down really, really low. It's been proven that from an evolutionary standpoint, when obviously when we first were back in ancestral times, there was no central heating. So we just used to sleep and it'd get colder at night. So we've evolved to sleep so much better when we are cool, so much better. So there you go, take a hot bath, not because it's hot, it's been proven to actually relax you, but also it dramatically reduces the core body temperature. And then keep your room cool. Keeping your room cool is all about this sleep environment. Basically creating good sleep hygiene, creating a better environment for sleep. And then wearing socks to bed is actually, it sounds counterproductive, but it's the core body temperature we want to keep low. Actually keeping socks on in bed, keeping our feet warm, improves circulation, which helps to keep our core body temperature lower. So that's the reason why we do that. So those three all in one. If you have time, take a hot bath because it will dramatically reduce your body temperature. Wear socks to keep the circulation better, to keep the core temperature low, and keep your room cool. Again, I live on the top floor of a house with a skylight, so trying to keep it cool is a challenge at the minute. But I found one thing is keep my curtains closed in the day. Keep my because the temperature is hotter outside than inside at the minute. Keep my windows closed until about sort of 8, 9 around now when it's cooling down. And then if I can, I tend to sleep with my windows open because it definitely keeps it down. But that's, keeping cool is huge. Bring the lights down. So blue lights. This is what I'm going to refer to as blue lights. So take away all lights about an hour before you go to bed. So laptops, phones, we are chronically addicted to our phones more and more and more. And I know quite a few people who will have their phone next to their bed at night. If they can't sleep, flick on the blue light. That basically restarts your circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm is what we should be awake during light times and asleep during dark times. That is where our circadian rhythm, that's what it regulates to. So turning off all blue lights, all screens, all phones is so key. And you want to do it about an hour before. One of my favorite sort of sleep scientists said, think of going to bed as parking your car. You want to ease into the spot. You don't want to crash it in. So about an hour before you start to sleep, think about that going to bed routine. Think about slowing everything down.
Training.
Turning the TV off and making sure that you can
they do like a weekly training thing. I'll never tune in.
I'm just gonna, I think someone's come on and is on mute, so I'm just gonna, that's better. Perfect. I think you may have been able to hear someone else then, so we'll play it through here. So bringing the lights down, making sure that you aren't coming into contact with any of these blue lights. Power down. So again, this might sound a bit hippie and a bit woo-woo, but it is scientifically proven that we have an electromagnetic field. We are all energetic beings. So if you have laptops, if you have Wi-Fi routers in your room, if you think I'm talking bull, please call me out on it and please go and research this. It's been proven scientifically that we all the power that we have close to us when we sleep will connect with. We will actually coming to contact with that. So my little thing is get rid of all technology out of the bedroom. Keep it as like this sanctuary. Think of the power of environments. You want to create your bedroom to be an absolute environment for sleep. And in that, we want to improve the oxygen level. So we could go and spend crazy amounts of money on a dehumidifier to make the oxygen pure, or you can just add a few plants. I'm going to show you my plant because I'm actually doing this in my bedroom today. I'm going to show you the massive plant that I sleep with next to my bed, which actually has been proven to help the oxygen flow. because I take this, after doing all this research, I take my sleep seriously, because I want to sleep great. Doesn't mean I always do, especially at the minute with it being so hot, but I personally can feel the difference. I'm sure you're all sat there knowing how much you feel the difference from when you have a super, you get a really good night's sleep and the next day just feels good. Your training's easy. You don't want to eat as much. You feel you're not irritable. So knowing that, I always want to try and get good sleep. So I actually have plants in my room as well. Get secure. So again, this is about creating the environment. When we go to bed, we're very aware of what is going on around us. So we've all had that time when we've gone to bed, we think, oh, have I locked the door? Have I done this? And that can actually make a massive difference to you when you're actually coming into sleep, when you're actually getting to sleep. It doesn't allow your body to get into those deep levels of sleep because there's something always here. So getting secure, I also do something called a brain dump where I journal just before I go to bed. So I get out any thoughts that I've had throughout the day. I get them out on paper, because I'm sure we've all been sat there and our heads just spinning, thinking about the day. We can't switch off. So by getting secure, making sure we're in a good environment and getting the things down on paper makes a huge difference, because it's not going around in our brain. If we can switch off our brain, we can go to sleep. I used to have competitions with everyone. I'm always been known for being the person who falls asleep during conversations. If I was sleeping with friends, we were all in a room, I'd be mid-conversation, and like 10 seconds later, I'd be fast asleep. Because as soon as my head hits the pillow, I'm usually asleep. But it never used to be like that. It's only because I've kind of honed this step-by-step guide and I've got good sleep hygiene. Nose breathing. So it's been proven that actually breathing through your nose, breathing through one nostril, the left, covering up your right nostril, and doing about a minute's worth of breathing through your left has been proven to actually balance the brain hemispheres and put you into a more balanced state so you can sleep faster, easier, and get into a deeper sleep quicker. So quite literally, a really good one if you normally sleep well, just keep doing with that. But if you're struggling to sleep, cover the right nostril, breathe through the left for about a minute, for about 30 breaths. And this is one I use if I ever wake up in the night as well. I go to left nostril breathing. And the last one, hydrate and refuel. So getting the right amount of food and getting the right amount of water. Water's a pretty easy one. We talk about water a lot and it's pivotal for your health. However, I would strongly advise that you take your last liquid on about an hour to 2 hours before you go to bed. That's why I wake up with like my morning mineral cocktail, get as much water in me up to about 5 o'clock, because I'm not running to the toilet in the night. Because once we wake up, we've broke that cycle. So we want to make sure that we get on enough water throughout the day, but we're not left with water like in our bladders when we go to bed. So we're having to get up in the night to go to the toilet. And then refuel. It's been suggested and approved that we want to go to bed kind of in a perfect state of not too hungry, because then we can wake up from hunger pangs in the middle of the night, but we don't want to be too full, because then the digestive systems have it overwork and it proves to be a very restless night's sleep. Sometimes I tend to have my carbs in the evening because it will put you into a more natural state of relaxation. But that's kind of where we go from for that. So I think hopefully that makes sense. Let me go here. Right. So thank you. All I'm going to leave you with is sort of my roundabout tips for how you do this, about how important it is. It would be, let's say your bedtime, practical tips. Let's say you're normally going to bed about 12. I wouldn't look to I'm not going to sit here and say, right, we'll go to bed at 10. Can you bring it even just 15 minutes down? If you're going to bed at 12, make sure about 11 that all the lights, the The blue lights are coming off. You can get blue blocker lights now on your laptops and your screens, but my honest opinion is just stop them, put the phones away. I like to read a book to relax me before I go to bed. So I normally get an hour before I go to bed. I normally go to bed for about 10, half 10. I'll turn off all the screens. I'll make sure that my bedroom is cool. Sometimes, not every time, I'll have a hot bath to bring my core temperature down. I then go to my journal and write. I then read to just, like say, ease me. I'm not, when you're parking your car, you're not crashing it into the spot. You're trying to ease yourself into going to sleep. So that's the next port of call, is just bringing myself down, getting myself ready to go to sleep, making sure it's cool, making sure I've locked everything, making sure I'm in a secure environment. Obviously, I've stopped drinking caffeine earlier. These are all really practical tips. I've got my environment set up, so I've got my my plant in the room to create better air. I take out all electricals. I've stopped drinking about an hour before, and then I get myself into bed, ready to go to sleep. So that is the step-to-step guide. If anyone wants any process on that, I can actually write this down, put it in the group. But that is that. So we're now, any questions? So any questions that are coming up, you can either type them, or if you're on live, send me a question. You can actually come on and speak if you feel comfortable. So if anyone's got any questions, just post them in here. Questions normally tend to be around like how to actually get a clear. Oh, by the way, just before you go, there's my. I said plant there. So I'm packing as well, so you can see some suitcases. But I've got a huge plant in the room to actually, like I say, get that. Okay, are you talking books? Are you talking books? Okay, what? So reading. Yeah. So I normally have. So right here, I've got a couple of books that I always leave right next to my bed, and I read. So I've got this one. I've got a couple of others down here. So I always read books. Yeah. So you don't have to be too in depth about that. But I have a sleep approved light little lamp which I turn on, so it's complete darkness, but I have that to be able to read. So yeah, but I always read because it and I read something like so that's like a self-improvement book, but it's not something that something that riles me up or gets me going, if you know what I mean. It's like I wouldn't read like a business book where my mind's thinking. It's something that decreases me. If you wake up several times in the night, does that decrease your sleep quality? Yes. However, like when you can actually get back to sleep quite quickly, so through that nasal breathing is a fantastic one. I always use it. So cover my right and breathe through my left. That helps me get back to sleep so much faster. It's a really good. So that's a really good one to use. But yeah, waking up does. However, my question back to you, just to have a think about, would be: are you doing all of this that we've been talking about? Are you improving that sleep quality? Have you increased your environment? Like got a good sleeping environment? Are you stopping caffeine? Are you making it cool? Are you doing all the things that we spoke about today to actually make sure your sleep quality is on point? Because if it is, I bet you wake up less. And if you get, like, let's say if you get a full 4-hour cycle before you wake up again, that's going to be dramatically improved. So if you wake up in between, you get back to sleep. Again, there's a lot of research that says that isn't too bad. Is there any other questions? So I've just had a message saying we're going to be kicked off in less than a minute. If you do have any questions, just post them in the group tomorrow when I post this video live. But thank you all for watching, and I hope it's been worthwhile. And whenever you go to sleep, have have a fantastic night's sleep. Sleep really well, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Yeah, sleep well. And I think next week we're actually going to have a pause on this because I'm going to be delivering the nutritional seminars because Matt's away. I'm going to be delivering nutritional seminars on Tuesday and Thursday. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with a very special guest. So yeah, look forward to speaking to you all in 2 weeks on the masterclass, and have a great evening. Sleep well, and yeah, bye-bye. Thank you.